Good day, everyone. Under Section 4, Rule 132 of the Rules of Court, the order in the examination of an individual is as follows. The individual here that is cited in this statement is the witness. The first one is direct examination, which is conducted by the proponent's counsel or lawyer. Next is the cross-examination, conducted by the opponent's lawyer. Second is the redirect examination, conducted by the proponent's lawyer. And the last one is the recross examination, conducted by the opponent's lawyer. Now today, I am going to discuss about cross-examination, which is conducted by the opponent's lawyer. We are going to know what are the things that the opponent's lawyer need to consider in conducting cross-examination. What are the rules in conducting cross-examination? What are his behavior inside the court while he was conducting cross-examination to the witness? But before I am going to proceed, I am going to show you a clip in a movie of a lawyer conducting a cross-examination. And I didn't really want you to look at the story of the movie. I just wanted to identify, or just wanted to look at the demeanor of the witness and the behavior of the lawyer who is conducting cross-examination to the witness.
Discipline problems in math class this year?
No.
No? Isn't it true Mr. Geddes has had to talk to you repeatedly about your behavior? Isn't that why he asked you to stay after class?
No.
Have other teachers ever asked you to stay after class?
Once or twice.
Did they want to talk to you about your behavior?
Objection, immaterial.
Goes to motive.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
Well, I don't know what the other teachers wanted. You'd have to talk to them.
You ever pass notes in class, Barbara? Maybe a note that made fun of Mr. Geddes.
No.
No? Never called him a disgusting pig monster?
Order.
No.
Your Honor, I pre-marked this defense exhibit A.
Objection, Your Honor. We've had plenty of time for discovery here. I'm going to let this in, Mr. Lomax. I'm also going to suggest that if you have any other exhibits you present in a timely fashion or not at all.
I'm sorry, Barbara, I was wrong. It's huge hog beast. This is your handwriting, isn't it?
Yes.
You wrote this in Mr. Geddes' class.
It's a joke.
He's a huge hog beast. He probably eats 1,000 pancakes for breakfast. You're writing here about Mr. Geddes, aren't you?
It was meant to be a joke.
Have you ever had a party at your house, Barbara? When your parents were away?
Objection. Your Honor, this is way out of
Credibility and bias.
Overruled. Answer the question.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of a game called Special Places? You're under oath, Barbara. A man's career, his reputation, his life is on the line. This is not a joke. Have you ever played the game Special Places?
Yes.
Is this game sexual in nature? Is this game sexual in nature?
We only played it once.
This special party, Barbara. This was the first time you told the story about Mr. Geddes, wasn't it?
Yes.
I've spoken to some of the other children who were there that day. Can you think of anything else, Barbara, they might have told me about that party?
Your Honor, if he has other witnesses, let him call
If
them.
I need to call those other children, I will.
Sustain that, Mr. Lomax. Rephrase your question.
You threatened those children, didn't you?
That's not the way it happened.
You told them to lie, to falsely claim that Mr. Geddes had hurt them.
These things did happen.
Because if they didn't go along, you were going to tell everyone about this special party.
They happened to me.
So you made up a story. A special story. A story about a math teacher who was tough on you, who kept you after class. A huge hog beast you didn't like. That's what really happened, isn't it?
No, I didn't want to be the only one.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
I'm going to adjourn here for today. We'll be back here at 9 o'clock in the morning, and people will behave themselves here or find themselves in contempt. Goody!
As what we have noticed in the video, the person who was cross-examined was a teenager. At first, the lawyer who was cross-examining her looked relaxed, but later on, he was intimidating the witness. Later on, the witness was scared. Later on, the witness did not know what to do. The question is it right to intimidate a witness? Is it right to scare a witness? Is it right to even shout in a courtroom? Now here, in my report today, let us going to identify the different rules in cross-examination by the opponent's counsel. But before that, let me show you what cross-examination is. Now, cross-examination, of course, is done by the opponent or the adverse party. It is conducted by the lawyer or the counsel of the adverse party. Now, there are different rules that a lawyer should do in a courtroom, should conduct in a courtroom when examining a witness. First, but before that, let us going to identify first the possible kind of testimony of a witness. And this is what a lawyer should identify. The opposing lawyer should know or should identify if a witness is telling the whole truth, if he is telling half truth and half lies, if what he is telling to the court is whole lies, is it accurate or is it inaccurate? How does a lawyer identify that? What are the rules a lawyer should do in order to identify or in order to win the case? Because that is the number one reason why the opponent's lawyer is cross-examining a witness. He wants to win the case through the witness. So here are the rules on cross-examination of a witness. Number one, pay attention to the conduct of direct examination. Now, the lawyer, before the cross-examination will happen, there is a direct examination. And the direct examination is conducted by the proponent's lawyer. Now, the opponent's lawyer should listen very carefully to the conduct of direct examination, to the statements of the witness during direct examination. He should listen very, very carefully. And the reason for this is because if he can identify the demeanor of the witness when conducting the direct examination, he can right away address it to the judge. That is to test actually the credibility of the witness. What is the advantage when you pay attention to the statement of the witness during the direct examination? Now, you can observe the demeanor of the witness. You can object. This is what I said. You can object accordingly and promptly. And then you can also tell to the court that he is telling lies or his demeanor is questionable or there is something wrong with his statement. But before that, if you can read, there is a judicial affidavit rule regarding this, that the party offering the judicial affidavit must submit it to the adverse party 5 days before the scheduled dates of the hearing. Now, second one is ask questions. Ask short questions. The questions that you are going to ask to the witness should be short. It should be brief and clear. I believe in the saying that less is more. Why do we need to ask our witness brief and clear question? There is actually an advantage for this. A short question is a clear question. When the question is clear, it forces the witness to answer directly to the question. He does not need to ask that he does not understand the question because it is too vague. Because your question is brief and clear, he has no other choice than to answer your question right away. Now, next to that is use plain words. Believe me, you do not need to use flowery words just to impress everyone inside the court that you have good English, your language is very good, your words are very good. You do not need that in court. Because in court, you only need to use plain words. Your flowery words are not useful inside the court. The court will better relate to you when you speak plain English only. There's actually an advantage for that. A question using plain word is also a very clear question. And when a question is clear, it elicits a clear answer. And you are not also given the witness a chance to ask you or to tell you that he does not understand the question because the question is very clear and you use plain words. And take note also that if you are cross-examining a witness that do not understand English, do not use English words. If your witness can understand Bisaya or Tagalog, so you ask him in Tagalog. If he can understand Bisaya only, you ask him in Bisaya. It actually depends on the witness. If your witness is an elderly person, you try to talk to your witness that an elderly person can understand. If your witness is a child, you need to talk to your witness questions, or you ask to your witness questions that a child can understand. Next to that is use leading questions. This is very important, and this is actually one of the most important thing that an opponent lawyer should do when he is conducting his cross-examination. Use leading questions. Your questions should lead to something. Remember that you are into an end game. Meaning when you are doing a cross-examination, it does not end there. The use of leading questions permits you to take control of the witness. Remember that in the courtroom, you are controlling the witness. You are not eliciting information from the witness. You already know everything. Your questions are prepared. You control the witness as if the witness has no escape. He is in your hand. You control him. Now, take him where you want to go, as if he has no escape. And tell your story to the court through the witness. Now, an effective cross should have an end game. What is the advantage if you use leading questions? A leading questions allows you to control the witness. And this is the very important thing. And some video clips that I watched, especially those lawyers who are like cross-examining a witness, sometimes the witness is intimidating them. So the lawyer was lost, and then the witness seemed controlling the lawyer, and so the court, the lawyer loses his credibility to the court. So it's really very important to take control of the witness. So use leading question and take control the witness. Next to that is never ask a question that you do not know the answer to, unless you don't care what the answer is. Now, when you prepare your question, make sure that you already know the answer. When a teacher asks a question to the student, of course the teacher already knows the answer. What is the reason why the teacher asks a question to the student? Is it because he or she wants to know the answer because she doesn't know the answer? Of course not. It is because he wants to know if, number one, the student is listening to his discussion, if the students, second, if the student understands his lesson, and then for this, the teacher will know the capacity or the mental capacity of the student. So he can help the student and he can do something about the student. This is also happening in the courtroom. You ask a question that you already know, and you just asking the question, even if you know the answer already to the question, you still ask to the witness because you want to test the credibility of the witness. Now remember that when you do this, it lets you take charge of the situation. You are very sure of your question. You are very sure of what you are doing because you already know everything. So it is really very important to study the case. Next to that is listen to the witness answers. By the way, before I am going to proceed, I am going to give you the copy of my PowerPoint presentation also because I know that this one is not very clear in my video, and especially that this is like, there are like example cases in here, and so if it is not clear, don't worry, I'm going to send you a copy of this. Now number 6 is listen to the witness answers. Why do you need to listen? It is very important. You always have to be very aware and to listen very carefully of the answer of the witness. Now, if you won't, what will happen? You will lose an opportunity to counter a favorable answer. If you are not listening and you found out that the witness is lying or not telling the truth, you will lose the opportunity because you are not listening to his answer and you cannot address that right away to the court. Next, you should hope that the judge is indeed listening. And if you ask questions that suggest you are not listening, you will certainly lose credibility with the judge. Remember that the judge is also listening to your question and to the answers of the witness. So it is very important really to listen very carefully to the answers of the witness. There's actually an advantage for this. You can formulate your follow-up questions. The follow-up questions can be done right at the moment or on the next meeting or the next trial. So that is important for that. Next is do not quarrel with the witness. Never quarrel with the witness. As what we have noticed in the video a while ago, the lawyer was quarreling with the witness, but actually it should not be happening. You are not allowed to quarrel with the witness. Don't let your emotion control you and bring you and your case down. You will bring your case down if you will let your emotion control you. Even if you know already that the witness is lying, still do not quarrel with her. Let the court or the judge listen to you and to the witness answer. The important thing is you take control of the whole situation. The advantage for this is it projects professionalism on your part. Remember that you are a lawyer and you should be a professional lawyer. You should observe respect and you should respect the court. So do not shout and do not let your emotion control you inside the courtroom. Here is also a very important point that you need to remember. Avoid repetition. Do not repeat your question. Now, the reason for this is, if you repeat your question, the possibility is the witness will also repeat his answer. And most probably, he will give you the same answer over and over again. Now, if he will give you the answer, all of the same answer with the same question all over again, the judge might think that this witness is telling the truth. So, in order to, if you are doing this, you are actually helping your adversary win the case. So, avoid repetition. Some, in a courtroom, some videos that we can see, the lawyer keeps on repeating the questions, but it should not be happening inside the court. Next, do not allow witness explanation. Do not let your witness, or do not let the witness explain. Remember, if you let the witness explain, the judge might listen to the witness properly, and you will give him the chance to explain himself. Do not ever do that. And what will you do so that you will not give the witness a chance to explain everything or anything? This is what you will do. You elicit questions with yes or no answers only. Do not formulate questions with why, how, what, when. Instead, you ask questions with yes or no answers only. Now, the answers given by the witness will be incomplete and vague if you will elicit questions that only answers with yes or no. Next to that is you limit your questioning. Do not question lots, do not conduct or do not ask lots of questions. Just limit your questioning. Just serve. Remember this one, serve the best for the last. The witness answer will be vague and limited if you limit the questioning. And second to the last, save the ultimate point of your cross for summation. Now, the summation here is like the summary of everything. Now, here, you gather all of the things that you learned or you learned from your previous cross-examination. You gather all of them, and then you save your ultimate point for the summation of your cross-examination. That is the time that you present to the court what you discovered when you do cross-examination. The video that we presented, that we watched, actually it was an end. It was the last cross-examination, or it was the last day of the hearing, where the lawyer is actually seemed attacking the witness already. Actually, in other countries, it is allowed. In the Philippines, as much as possible, even if you already have your point, as much as possible, we are not allowed to harass the witness or our opposing counsel. There's an advantage for this. Save the best for the last. That is what I have said earlier. The last point is easier to remember. Remember that the previous cross-examination that you had conducted, the judge might have forgotten them, might forget them. The thing that the judge will remember will be the last day of the trial, where you sum or you present your end game or your end point. So, save the best for the last. And the last one is, express the demeanor of the witness if it is favorable to your case. Always address this one to the judge. It is very important to know the credibility of the witness, and it can be identified by expressing the demeanor of the witness if it is favorable to your case. Now, address that to the court right away. Now, all of these things or the rules are very simple, actually. You just need to study the case very well and make sure that you are prepared. And one of the lawyers that I saw in a video said that when you cross-examine a witness, do not be too overconfident. Do not be too confident. As much as possible, before you cross-examine your witness, you also practice cross-examining at home. So you look at yourself in the mirror and you practice cross-examining, and then you are allowed to actually bring your copy with you, but make sure that you are familiar with everything. Now I have here, actually there are a lot, there are like 40 pages, 30 plus pages of a 40-minute cross-examination that happened, and it is up to you if you will read this one. This is happening in the court, and I am going to send this copy to you, and so it is up to you if you will read this one, because I tell you this is really very long. And then when you are going to, I am going to read one here. Here, the next na lang, here. Okay, so as what you have noticed here, when you are going to read these questions, these slides later on, or if you want to read this one, as what you have noticed here, most of the answers of the most of the questions of the opposing counsel starts with did you, will you, was there. So all of the questions can also only be answered with yes or no. And the answers also of the witness is no, no, correct, yes, I do not recall. So the answer of the witness are very very short, because you only allow him to answer a yes or no question. So lastly, I have here a video again of a very simple cross-examination that is conducted inside the courtroom. This is actually a simple cross-examination. No emotion, no harassing of the witness. It's very simple. So a real scenario will usually look like this. This is the last part of my report.
Will be cross-examining Mr. Wong.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Ms. Lau, and today I'll be asking Mr. Wong a couple questions.
Morning.
Mr. Wong, you are the youth leader at the local rec center, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And therefore you do know Mr. Donovan Tissy quite well, don't you?
Yeah, I do know him.
Mr. Tissy plays basketball at the rec center quite often, doesn't he?
Yeah, 2-3 times a week, yeah.
And he's quite good at this sport.
Yeah, I wouldn't play against him.
Mr. Dwayne Dirks also comes to the community center, doesn't he?
Yeah, he started coming in late 2009-ish, yeah.
And Mr. Dirks does cause trouble at the rec center, is that correct?
Yes, he is rude to the other youth as well as myself and other staff.
And you've seen Mr. Tissy associating with Mr. Dirk, haven't you?
I've seen Donovan hang around with Mr. Dirks, once in a while, yeah.
And since they've been associating with each other, you've noticed a change in Mr. Tissy's attitude. Is that correct?
Yes, Donovan just act a little more withdrawn, a little less interested in people, a very minor change in his attitude.
So he has been less interested in people, but he's also been rude to others, hasn't he?
I've seen him maybe mouth off once or twice.
To other youths?
To other youths, yes, sorry.
Now, the community center was quite busy in March, is that correct?
Yeah, it's busy in March.
And you work 5 days a week, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
You work from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., is that correct?
Those are my work hours.
And you don't keep a record of the people who come into the rec center, do you?
No, I don't.
As a defense witness, you did not need to give the police a statement ahead of time, is that correct?
No.
Therefore, your recollection of the date in question is solely based on your preparation for this trial, is that correct?
Yes.
The date in question, March 10th, 2010, that's quite a while ago, isn't it?
It's around 2 months, yeah.
And since then, you've seen a lot of kids at the rec center, is that correct?
For my job, that's right, yeah.
So you can't be sure that you saw Mr. Tissy on March 10th, 2010, can you?
Well, I can be sure because I remember getting that specific information on March 10th, and I was very lucky to tell Donovan about it that afternoon.
So That, you remember the exact day you received that form, the exact day you gave Donovan that form?
Yes, because it is scholarship and college information. It's not like I get it every single day. This is a
So-
lucky break.
You don't give other kids scholarship information?
Oh, I do try, but I remember that I usually have to give him at some other point, but I remember this day, I remember it because I got it that day, and I remember telling him that afternoon. It's very fortunate.
So can you please state the exact time you saw Mr. Sissy on that day?
You know, like I said before, I cannot be 100% sure, but it had to be definitely before 8 o'clock. That's when I eat.
And you haven't recently seen Mr. Dirks, have you?
No, I haven't seen Mr. Dirks around.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Thank you, Your Honor.
So as what we have noticed with the first and the second video, there's really a big difference when the two lawyers were cross-examining the witnesses. So the first lawyer looked very intimidating. He looked brilliant though, and the second lawyer was very relaxed. And then actually the second one was doing the right thing. She was doing it the right way, and that should what a lawyer do inside the courtroom. So that is all, and I hope that you learned something. And then there will be lots of, and that's all.